Hello everybody, my name is Bricky. New apartment, yes, new area. You may not be able to see it well, I can. There's a lot of lights on me and it burns really bad. But you know what doesn't burn really bad? It actually keeps your piss feeling clean and relief-filled and not burning. Gamer Subs. I'd be surprised if you haven't heard of Gamer Subs by now. They're sponsored by a lot of people, myself included, and I am on my way to attempting in 2022 to get both a cup and, if I'm really lucky, a flavor, but that's going to take probably quite a long time for that one. And also, it is a pretty wonderful drink supplement. It is a lot better than the competition out there, believe me. It's a lot less you got to use. It tastes better. It's also way better if you're the kind of person who likes to drink soda and stuff. You got to lower that calories, make it a little bit better, and it's a fantastic supplement for it. Also, if you really want to, you know, not be healthy, but just want something really tasty, get yourself some sparkling water, throw a little bit of Gamer Subs in there, and then a couple shots of vodka. It's actually really smooth and pretty great, just in case you feel like it. Recommendations for flavors: blue raspberries, amazing. The new pineapple one is incredible, and I would really recommend the flavor by fellow YouTuber Russian Badger Guacamole Gamer Fart 9000. It is unironically the best flavor on the store, and it's strawberry kiwi, just so you know. So if you want to use code Bricky to save 10% off, go ahead and use that to start the new year with a little bit of Gamers Subs. Hello everybody, my name is Bricky, currently serving 10 to life for stabbing the man who bought the Halo cat ears in real life. The king is back, baby. Or is he? Well, he is. Mostly. If you didn't catch my video on Halo Infinite's multiplayer, you can see it here, you know, right there. And that video discusses the monetization and progression, which I will update you on today, as 343 has been making some sweeping changes. But I finished the campaign a few days ago before writing this script, and about a week before releasing this video, because especially with the fat lore dump they just throw on your chest in the final act of the game, I needed some time to process everything. I'll start by saying this will contain certain spoilers for the game, and by certain I mean literally I'm going to be spoiling everything because it's hard to talk about this game's story without spoiling anything. But if you want my quick, easy review, B-. 7 out of 10, B-. It's good, not great, it's not terrible, but it's fine. And I don't mean like an IGN 7 where they gave Call of Duty Vanguard a 7 somehow, but I also don't mean a C-. No, I mean like a slightly above average, a legitimate 7. B-. It's good, but there's a lot to unpack there. Spoiler free over, and I'm glad that we got that out of the way, because in order to understand Halo Infinite, you really got to understand all the things going into it, like from the hype in 2021 and the releases around this year. COD was an embarrassment, Battlefield barely functions, Back 4 Blood suffered from a myriad of problems, and then along comes Halo Infinite that not only works really well, hits that nostalgia hard on, but makes a fantastic declaration by making the main villain of the game NFTs. The last Halo game came out 6 years ago. 6 years. Halo 5 had a multiplayer that definitely had a following, but it wasn't very Halo. The campaign, however, was disastrous. It was an embarrassment in many ways. Retconning the death of Cortana, lessening Halo 4's strength, having a far less interesting character make up 90% of the plot, reuse boss fights, the horrible Skynet villain plot they decided to throw at the end, a terrible cliffhanger, and Arbiter and the Chief are in the same room at the end of the game, and they don't even share a word with each other. A disgrace to RB and the Chief. One of the best YouTube machinimas ever made. So Infinite had some big shoes to fill, but it also had to figure out what it wanted to do after the backlash of the 5th game. And their decision? Fuck it. The game starts with Chief fighting Atriox, an honestly underrated Halo villain from Halo Wars 2, and immediately getting bodied by the Crypto Ape. You are then found floating around by Octane and are brought back to the fold into Zeta Halo along with Atriox's group, the Banished. Oh, and Cortana is dead, and Atriox is dead also, by the way. Teehee, trust me, they're both dead. So Crypto Bro II and King of the hard to remember names, Escharum, is the new villain, and you, Master Chief, along with your new AI who looks, sounds, and acts exactly like Cortana, but is definitely just called the Weapon, must go out and stop the Banished from repairing the destroyed Zeta Halo and taking over Ubisoft. This is when we get to gameplay, which is no doubt in my mind the best part of this entire game. Halo, as you know it, is here with just a few added tools. The 30-second gameplay loop that Halo is so well known for is perfect. And I almost mean that literally. It is as close to a perfect gameplay loop I can think of. But it's still so evidently Halo. Grunts will run around and scream fucking hilarious things during this game while being the usual headshot simulator. Jackals, you need to fire at their exposed limb to remove their shield and get them down. Elites are genuinely terrifying with their speed and strength, and brutes are a little slower, well, most of the time, and are just way more tough. They all have this great blend of enemy variety that Halo's always been known for, and that gameplay loop is killer. The gunplay, the feeling of swapping weapons on the fly, and then going around and headshotting some kind of grunt, and then beating a jackal, getting around his shield, and then finding a way to pop double sniper shots to break a shield and kill an elite, and then take out some brutes, and then you grapple your way back. It is beautiful. It is some of the best fun I've played in Halo in terms of its actual gameplay loop. It is a top 3 Halo in terms of gameplay. There's a feeling of godliness that comes from the fact that this game is kind of fusion coil simulator, so you just throw fusion coils at everything, which is very, very fun. But with the new tools at your disposal, the grapple, the drop wall, the threat sensor, the evade, and the way you utilize melee and such, it all just blends. It's been refined to such a great degree, and honestly, my only real complaint is that I would like a bit more weapon variety and a bit more enemy variety would have been nice, but honestly, at the current moment, it feels so good. And honestly, the enemy variety thing doesn't bug me too much, considering that you get these grunt voice lines. When it's at its peak, it is nigh perfect Halo. However, it does come with a caveat. It is actually, instead of being a normal linear style game like Halo is normally known for, it is actually situated in a quasi open world instead. It's very Far Cry style. You have FOBs to capture, little side missions where you can get Spartan cores, and these cores upgrade your armor, things like increased shields or making your various equipment better. There's also Marines to gather in order to get something called Valor Points, and Valor Points allows you to unlock specific kinds of weapons and vehicles at the FOBs you capture. There are also bosses situated around the map, and by killing these bosses, you get an upgraded version of some kind of weapon, whether it's a skewer that will explode or a stronger plasma pistol, just things like that. This stuff is okay. The upgrade system I like. I actually like the upgrade system quite a bit. It's very bare bones. It's just increase your shields or adjust the different kinds of equipment you have, grapple, drop wall, etc. But I'm okay with that one. Finding the Spartan cores and getting that stuff, cool, feels good. And killing the bosses is actually pretty okay because the upgraded weapons you get can serve for some funny moments with the Marines you can carry around in your Warthog, especially when you get the explosive skewer, which allows for explosive skewer Marine artillery, which is pretty great. Each individual part of this campaign, the Valor Point system, the core system, and the main gameplay is all pretty good on paper. The problem is that when they mesh, they don't mesh great. It's all situated in this open world that, with the exception of a few patrols, is basically completely barren and is the exact same location the entire time. This Halo has the least location variety of any Halo game ever made. Halo Wars has more location variety than this game does. It is barren landscape with some trees and forerunner structures the entire campaign. Halo 1, with the exception of the first mission, was entirely situated on a single Halo like Infinite, but it has so much more variety between deserts and beaches and snows and forests. Halo Infinite's multiplayer maps have more variety than its campaign. Why? It is so boring to drudge through. And that's the biggest problem, is that this is not a living open world. This is a play space that you will travel to a spot, enjoy the amazing combat, then travel to a spot, enjoy the amazing combat, and then travel to a spot. And then if you want to continue the the campaign, you have to then go to special campaign areas, which are almost always situated indoors in either a banished or forerunner structure, constantly reutilized. It feels like one incredibly long, drawn out mission instead of a decent couple amount of well-crafted missions. It gets boring and it gets tiring, and the more you do it, the more you'll feel it. Right in the beginning, I was thinking, oh, this is kind of cool. Halo's gameplay is so good that I want to go out and explore. I want to rescue Marines. I want to get my Spartan core upgrades. But as time went on, I got more and more bored and more tired of it, to eventually the point where I just ignored it all. I played the game on Heroic, and Heroic actually had a pretty decent challenge sometimes, but I upgraded my shields, and that was all I needed. And then after about the tower with the torturous elite, after that, I just said, screw it. I just did the damn campaign missions, because I was sick of traveling through the same area, the same world, over and over and over again. The thing is, for me, is that this world is entirely carried. In fact, no, this game is entirely carried by one thing. That right there. The grapple hook. Not even that. That right there. The grapple hook second upgrade for the cooldown. If this did not exist, Halo Infinite would be borderline unplayable. It would be like bringing me to tears with how boring it would be. Because eventually, until you get the flying vehicles like the Banshee or the Wasp, which the Wasp does cost Valor points, but until you get those, this is how you will be maneuvering through the entire game. In fact, mongooses, warthogs, ghosts, all the other vehicles pale in comparison to the strength of this grappling hook. The sheer speed, ability to save you from death, and absolute power that this grappling hook provides carries the entire campaign on its back. And because it was so fast and allowed me to traverse the area so quickly, I was able to stomach the horribly boring environment that I'm stuck with the entire game. Honestly, if you just took this gameplay and then you threw in a bit more weapon variety and a few more enemies, and you slapped it in a more linear style game mode, like, can you imagine this gameplay playing on Halo Reach's New Alexandria, or the Covenant in Halo 3, or the Ark mission, or High Charity in Halo 2. These really well-crafted missions that have so much flavor and strength to them, with the fantastic gameplay of Halo Infinite. And you didn't even have to remove some things like the Spartan cores. The Spartan core thing is cool. You don't need it to be an open world to utilize that and upgrades. You can have these in either hidden areas or along your way through your linear Halo story. In fact, other games do that, and they do it great. In fact, they did it twice. Doom has a linear story style with upgrades scattered across the area and way more area variety. Look at Halo 3 and Halo 3's multiplayer maps. Look at the color between Narrows and the Pit and Sandtrap and High Ground and Guardian, Snowbound and Construct. There's so much there. There's so much like breath of life into it and location variety. I'm so sick of fucking forests and plains and forerunner structures. The whole Valor point idea, like rescuing Marines and stuff, like, it's fine idea, I suppose, but the thing about Halo is that very often Master Chief does not stick to a single weapon for very long. You use it for a period of time, but then you run out of ammo and you have to grab something else. So unlocking these fancy pantsy weapons or unlocking these new things you get from bosses only lasts for a short period of time. And at that point, it's only really used for gimmicky things like the hilarious Marine skewer artillery bus, or maybe like a Sentinel laser crew, something like that. It's not really that great for just Chief. The linear nature of Halo allowed it to craft a better environment, craft better enemy placement and better weapon placement, and also, most importantly, craft a better story. Which, speaking of story, Bricky, these transitions are incredible.
It's locked down. Requires a hack.
Okay. And you can do that?
No.
I'm going to be comparing Halo Infinite to Rise of Skywalker a little bit, and I know, but trust me, it's not that bad. It is not as bad as The Rise of Skywalker and how atrocious that film is, but there is a certain methodology that they use that you'll see. The main thing is that the prior entry, so Last Jedi or Halo 5, definitely was panned by critics and fans alike, and therefore they had to determine what they wanted to do with the next entry. And I don't think they handled it very well. The story in the beginning was very promising. Atriox is a great villain, the pilot is scared, but it's understandable as he's not Master Chief, and the weapon has a ditzy, silly nature to her that's fun to interact with. Some of these overstay their welcome, however. Octane in cutscenes is pretty good. His voice acting is actually a real standout, and I'm stoked he's getting more work, because we all love the Apex character, but I didn't know he had such good emotional range. Outside of cutscenes, however, it gets on my nerves. Like, I get it, that's the whole point of him, is to, you know, he's not Chief, he's a human, all that stuff, but outside of cutscenes, he's just constantly yelling at me. This is gonna kill us all, this is gonna get us all killed, oh my god, I can't believe we gotta leave, Master Chief, what are you doing? Shut up. I'm the Chief. The Chief. Savior of humanity. It just gets really aggravating until eventually one cutscene when he just stops. Eventually he just gets this one cutscene where he breaks down and gets really sad, and Chief is like, I've sometimes failed and it was sad. And then he's like, you're right. You're right. I should stop being a bitch. And then he's just normal. It's not even a character arc. It's a vertical slant. There is no arc involved. He is at rock bottom and he's going to bikini bottom. And there's some weird unresolved things, like in the beginning, right? With him, that cinematography and the cutscenes, really good. They do the God of War thing where everything is in one continuous shot, but seeing that little thing with his kid and wife, and then him without a beard, and then there's a little spin, and then he has the beard again, great stuff. But then there's just some weird things, like he says his family's gone, but that was the family there. I thought that's the reason he wanted to leave so bad, is because he wanted to go back to his family. That I thought was the driving point of his character, but then he says, my family's gone. Are they gone, or are you trying to get back to them? Like, it was really just brushed under the rug, and there wasn't really a resolution with his character whatsoever. I was very confused. The weapon, on the other hand, is like 90% fun. Like 10%, some of her lines don't quite hit, but overall, I mean, it's the same VA for Katana, so she's wonderful. She's consistently fun to talk to. She's kind of a little ditzy, a little new, but the weapon overall is great, and it holds that dynamic that's always been good with Halo, where Cortana, the robot, shows more humanity than Chief, the human. Like, this is, we all know this, but it's such a well-established idea, and it works really well. And the weapon does do pretty well, I'd say, most of the time. But, you know, Cortana is dead, and so is Atriox. They're both dead. Trust me, they're both dead, so, you know, don't worry about it. The pilot kind of takes a back seat for about 60% of the game, give or take, after the opening, which I would remind you, I really, really like. But the main concept is that the ring is super messed up. The Banished want to take it over so they can fire it and be evil banished people, and you got to stop it. But the story really takes a back seat for a long time in about maybe the first 40-50% of the game, but they do some things that I really despised. Example, there's this one lady in the game known as the Harbinger, has these funky face flaps, apparently no organs, and will bring about the Endless, another super duper race of people that will totally see the extinction of the universe, and don't let them out or they'll kill you. Escalation of enemies and stories is such a writing crutch that every time I hear it, it makes me want to die. Escalation of enemy strength is not exciting in the slightest. It's eye-rolling. They did this in so many things. They did this in Halo 4 with the Forerunners, and while I think Halo 4 is actually a little underrated, it's still not fun to deal with, especially when you're adding another thing on top of that. As far as Equinox goes, he's no Atriox, and God, does he like monologuing. He screams and yells at you because he's positive Beanie Babies are a great investment and hates when you tell him otherwise, and he just doesn't stop. He yells and shouts, and you just have to sit there and watch him do it over and over again. The problem with Endorphin as a villain is that he's just not that intimidating. The Master Chief destroys everybody in physical combat. Everyone he's fought, he's fucked up. It's the Master Chief. Nobody's really beat him much. The Prophet of Truth was never physically superior to Chief, but he acted as if he was morally and spiritually superior. That's what made him an interesting villain. His schemes was intriguing, not his muscles. The Didact in Halo 4 was a bit more interesting because at least he showed that his physical prowess was far and above Master Chief, and he had this calm demeanor while showing it off. He was laughably stronger, and it was shown in said cutscene. Hell, Atriox is stronger than Master Chief, and Atriox is a more interesting villain because of that similar calm demeanor he has for being a brute. Unfortunately, he's dead though, you know, along with Cortana. Yeah. I'm not scared of Endwalker. I never was. Now see, I expect him to beat me in gameplay, sure. Like his boss fight was tough, but he himself can beat me. I didn't think for a second he could beat Master Chief. And I sure as shit didn't think Flappy Lips could either. So if you're really gonna talk about the story of Halo Infinite, you're gonna talk about the ending. During the game, you'd see little flashbacks and hear whispers from and of Cortana, similar to her messing with you in Halo 3, except often in cutscene form. Honestly, if you played Halo 5, you'd probably be really confused by the sheer lack of Cortana, considering that she basically became the main villain of the game. So her absence in this campaign is a little surprising. Turns out, this has all still happened. All the Halo 5 stuff did happen, and she's been going ham. She destroyed an entire Spartan training facility, she blew up Australia, and she literally destroyed Atriox's entire planet. I mean, Exterminatus cracked that bitch in two, and that serves actually more to make Atriox cooler because of his response to it. Which I should remind you, both of them are dead, by the way. Teehee, they're dead, trust me. In response to this, Atriox somehow gets the upper hand on Cortana, which we don't see, ends up beating her ass, which we don't see, gaining Zeta Halo, which we don't see, in which then Cortana sacrifices herself to blow up Zeta Halo, which we don't see, which killed both of them in the process. By the way, Teehee, definitely dead. And if you didn't play the game, you'd probably be thinking to yourself, oh, Bricky's obviously setting up the red herring, right? Cortana and Atriox are not actually dead. They just keep telling you that they're dead, and in fact, they're alive. No! Cortana is dead. Legitimately. Except for Atriox, though. He's not dead. They have him in the cutscene at the end credits where they just show him being alive. Cortana, one of the most iconic characters in video games, killed in Halo 4, stupidly brought back alive in Halo 5, lessening Halo 4's impact, then blows up Spartan training facilities, goes full Skynet, deletes Australia, blows up a planet, and then kills herself all off screen before Infinite even starts, and is told to you via flashback. I don't think I need to explain why this is not good. This is where I get my Rise of Skywalker comparison. You know, Halo 5 was a critical failure. People thought Halo 5's campaign was the worst Halo campaign ever, and I agree, it was. But how you handle that is its own thing. Rise of Skywalker decided to turn itself into shitty fan fiction. Oh, people hated Last Jedi, so Palpatine's back, you know? Oh, we're changing the Rey thing. That Rose girl, never heard of her. Good job, bro. Get away from me. Ugly. And then Halo 5 was critically panned, so a Spartan Locke, never heard of him. No, who was that? Arbiter, not around. Don't know who he is. Halsey, God, never did. What a bitch, you know. Cortana, she's dead. She killed some stuff, you know, but don't worry, she's totally dead now. By the way, here's a brand new Cortana without any of the character development. I mean, I guess that was a good callback to that Halo 4 line, but
they'll pair you with another AI. Maybe even another Cortana model if Halsey lets them.
That's not going to happen.
What? I get that Halo 5 was hated, but just sweeping the whole thing under the rug makes this whole series feel more disjointed and worse, more corporate. This is probably an unpopular opinion, but is it so wrong to stick to your guns? Is it so wrong to lick your wounds and say, this is the story we have right now, we need to make it work? Was it such a terrible decision to have Chief, Locke, and Arbiter dealing with a crazy Cortana, having this brother-in-arms thing with 3 of these characters, the new and the old, fighting this, you know, crazy-ass Cortana and having the emotional impact that goes with that. Is it so wrong to have a little bit of backbone and say, this is what we have, let's make the best of it, instead of just saying, oh God, oh, I don't know what you're talking about, it never even happened, she's dead, definitely, but Aatrox isn't, hee. It's like the boardroom spent 6 years working on perfecting this amazing gameplay, and then they said, all right, lads, I know you don't want to hear it, but we gotta talk about the story. Oh! Halo Infinite's gameplay it's so good. It's so good, and it carries this incredibly mediocre story. That's why I give it B-, because the gameplay is so goddamn good, but the story is so crap that, you know, they equal out. B-. It's fine. It's good. It's nowhere near as bad as Halo 5's. Like, I think Halo 5's story is still easily the worst of them all, but I'd say this is right above it. I think Halo 4's story is significantly better than this game. The gameplay of Halo 4 was what was lacking, the stupid quick time events, but I liked the Chief Cortana dynamic. It gave Halo 4's Cortana a lot of like range for her acting. It was kind of sad. The music was great in 4. The location variety was pretty good. I liked the weapons and the enemies. Didact was intimidating, even if he wasn't really around much, and he wasn't nearly as good of a villain as like the Prophets or Gravemind. But compared that to Escharum, nah. So yeah, B-. Great gameplay, incredible. But the story, oh, ooh. Apparently they have this idea where this is gonna be the last Halo, where this is the final Halo that they ever really planned to make, and therefore they plan on adding campaign DLCs to continue the story with that endless villain or whatever. And if they do, I hope that they make it a little bit more linear, a little more variety, a little more streamlined. I actually don't mind that concept, the final Halo. The multiplayer's free, they can keep on adding to it and changing it up, and then they can sell campaign DLCs if you want to buy them. I am actually pretty okay with that business model in its own right, but I really hope they do see what the good was here and the bad was there, and really try to refine that experience. We'll see how it goes. I'm cautiously optimistic. It may sound like I just railed on the campaign this whole time, but I like a good story, and this game does not have a good story, but I really am cautiously optimistic because I think via gameplay, they've really pulled it off. And then maybe I'm hoping that with this reset on the story, they'll be able to really flex their storytelling chops. Maybe, because they didn't, but maybe. All right, let's talk about multiplayer real fast. Just want to talk about this for a quick moment. For a while, the biggest problems I have with the multiplayer playlist selection, challenges, battle pass items, and type of side progression. As far as that goes, they've added some playlists. That's great. It's not quite enough for me, but you know, the playlists are there. That's wonderful. The challenge changes are incredible. They're no longer super annoying random crap or random missions type thing. No, they're so much better. Mainly based on playlists for the challenges. It's like kill a certain amount of enemies in a playlist as opposed to in a mode. The customization system is still absolutely terrible. Armor cores, why? Armor paint for certain armor cores, why? It is still so archaic and totally crap, and it needs to go away ASAP. The battle pass is still not great in terms of items, but I'm a reasonable person and realize that they're not going to change the items mid-pass, so we'll see when the next pass comes out what they'll be providing for there. Customization in Halo Infinite right now is just really poor. The end screen stances are still incredibly dumb. Have it be an animation in the beginning. Do that. When you load in a game, instead of cracked knuckles and chest and punching, have your own special animation that you can either purchase in your store. Hey, I know you like money, or the battle pass. Infinite's multiplayer is making steps, earning XP and stuff now a lot better, but it still has a bit of a way to go. So here's hoping that they keep on adding to it. I hate saying this, but this really seems like it's going to be one of those it'll be really good in 6 months kinds of games. At least it's playable, unlike fucking Battlefield. And at least it's got a good gameplay system, unlike Call of Duty. So Halo Infinite, listen, I know I harped on it really hard and it's got so many problems, but it's one of those things where like someone is trying to have their revival concert. They're coming back. They're heading back into the fold, and they tripped and fell on their face. They're back. They stumbled a little bit though. They're just a little bruised and bloodied. And there is hope here, good hope here, but need a little bit more. Thank you all very much for watching this video. Buy yourself some gamer subs with some code Bricky. It's a good thing. You get a discount and it's beautiful and delicious, and it supports me directly quite a bit, by the way. I get a pretty good commission from them. So if you're gonna buy stuff, yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and answer some questions from my wonderful, wonderful patrons who support me and my channel. Happy New Year to all of you as well. I hope that your Christmas went well. Hope things went great, and I'm honestly excited that you know, for the new year. I'm actually pretty hyped. What did I ask for Santa this year? Actually, I asked for clothing, ironically. I want to kind of express myself for my clothing a bit more. I only ever wear jeans, sweatpants, or shirts, so I wanted to ask for some other stuff. This nice little, like, shirt was one of the things I got. I got this nice little bracelet that I really enjoy. I might get my fingers measured for like a ring, maybe. Just some, I don't want to be like super jewelry kind of California douche guy, but I want to have a little bit more of like expressiveness. Where did you hide the body, Bricky? Why is it always this way? Why does it always happen this way? Gamer, father, daddy, papa, old man,